So I might need my sound on.
Somebody already put LMAO.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kevin Mullen. I'm the principal of Susquehannock High School. I want to thank everybody for taking time out of their summer evening for attending our parent webinar. I'm here with Mr. Sterner, our assistant principal, Dr. Bell, our assistant principal, and Mr. Brad Keeney, who is our athletic director. Our goal this evening is to follow up on the July 9th board meeting and provide you some more specific information about what school could look like at Susquehannock High School beginning this August. As you know, there are many unknowns still to go and still for us to deal with here coming up prior to August. To give you an example, and I know those of you that were on with Dr. Reppert, you heard this as well. Just this afternoon at 4 o'clock, Pennsylvania Department of Education issued some new specific guidelines for the reopening of schools. We started pouring through it immediately. We will continue to pour through that in the coming days, and we will look to modify our plans as they exist now based on what just came out from PDE, which is something that we have been looking for the last 5 to 6 weeks to give us some more specific guidance on things. Would like to reiterate that the plan that was sent out to the public on July the 9th is a proposed plan. It is designed for us to be flexible to meet the needs of our students and our staff based on what happens with the pandemic, whether numbers go up or down. Because as always here at Southern New York County School District, the safety of our students and our staff, and in a time of pandemic, our community is always our number one priority and will continue to be our number one priority in the coming weeks, months, and year if necessary. So to talk a little bit about the district plan as it impacts our high school, the plan itself is broad. It is not entirely specific. Each of the buildings has taken the plan and drawn in more specifics in an effort to be flexible, understanding that every building is a little bit different and each of our populations have slightly different needs based on the size. So as far as Susquehannock is concerned, we, like the rest of the district, have 3 options. We can be full in with a digital option to be online, and it could also be a combination of blended. We have an A-B schedule, which students would come in on a Monday or Tuesday, would then be off and working online for the other 3 days, while the second half of the student population comes in on a Thursday and Friday, having done online work Monday through Wednesday. Or we have the ability to go fully online. Just to note, we can go full in or A-B regardless of color, whether we're green or yellow. We have that option. And obviously, if the county were to move to red, the building as well as the district is prepared to go fully online. Nothing at this time has been set in stone. The goal is for us to continue to monitor what occurs both in our Commonwealth, within our county, and obviously nationwide. And then as a district, we will make decisions with input from our local officials in the York County Health Department, the Emergency Management Department, our school board, as well as community members will make a decision as to what is in the best interest of our students, the staff, and the community. So again, those things will continue to change, and we'll continue to monitor conditions as they need to. If we go A-B or we go full in or digital, regardless, we will be using a block schedule here at Susquehannock High School, much like came out in earlier communication. Reason for the block is it cuts down on the number of transitions. It allows students to focus on less classes, which in a time of pandemic where there is obviously anxiety within the community, within our homes, as to what may or may not happen in the future, it is ideal for students to be able to truly focus on just a few things. For those students who struggle with executive function or even adults, the idea being that to focus on 4 classes is much more positive for the students. It gives them more time to focus on that, as well as to talk to teachers. If we go online in a block schedule, it gives our teachers the ability to deliver more synchronous learning opportunities during the day and not have to bounce from one class to another class quickly, and cuts down on the number of students, which then gives more opportunity for students and teachers to work in small groups and one-on-one, which is something we heard from students, we heard from staff, and we heard from our parents as well as something that we would want to look forward to. Obviously, we have the digital component as well, whether it be our digital academy or we go fully digital. Regardless, both the digital academy and Susquehannock High School will work on that block schedule for the entirety of the year. That will allow parents and students to be able to transition more easily throughout the year if their situation warrants. They may start, if we are in school, A, B, or full, and at some point in time, parents wish to move their child to digital academy, they would be able to do so, and vice versa if they wanted to move from digital academy into the brick and mortar building. The idea being that they could do so more easily than they would if one was running on a traditional 180-day schedule versus a block. We think the block will definitely be able to lessen the stress of students. It is a change. There are some things that we will need to work on. Our AP students, that has been a concern. We have that. Other schools have done that, and our teachers have already begun talking on what they can do to support students who have AP classes in the fall in an effort to get them prepped and prepared and ready to go in the spring. And I have no doubt that our teachers who are in it for our students will be more than happy to bend over backwards and be flexible with students in an effort to make sure that a student going into an AP test feels comfortable, feels prepared, and ready to do their best. One of the things that we will stress this year is communication, obviously, and we're going to expect that communication both be from the school to the parents as well as parents to school, because that is critical in keeping our building safe and as normal as possible. One of the things that we're going to stress, because we've heard it in the news over time and time again, is face coverings. Face coverings are required at all times. With the exception of when students are outside in sports or actively engaged in something like that, our expectation at the high school is that students will have their masks on, as will staff. One of the questions that came up previously from many parents was the idea of mask breaks. In my mind, a mask break at the high school level is someone who has to go into the bathroom and maybe wants to wash their face and hands after eating or after having been in a PE class, would just like to freshen up with their face, wipe the sweat off. Then obviously you're going to take the mask off, but the expectation otherwise is that we will have students wearing their masks. Obviously, students who have medical conditions, the state has come out and said that they do not necessarily have to wear them. One of the things that we will do, and I heard Dr. Reppert say this as well, we will check into with parents the conditions and have conversations with them as to whether or not, if they have a medical condition, it's really truly in their best interest to be in the building, on what we could potentially do to help continue to mitigate for that student as well as the students that that student is around. At this time, I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Sterner, who will talk to you a little bit about some of the things that we currently are thinking about putting in place in the building in an effort to mitigate COVID-19. He will in turn turn it over to Dr. Bell, and then I will be back with some additional information.
Good evening. We've worked throughout the summer to examine and develop protocols and supports to keep students and staff safe if and when they are in our building. Some of these safety precautions include signage with reminders of COVID practices, such as spacing 6 feet to encourage social distancing when feasible, wearing a mask and regularly washing hands. We've implemented one-way hallways to limit face-to-face contact during hall passage. We've added a wash station to provide all students access to clean hands prior to lunch. We've implemented cleaning protocols for classrooms and equipment, as well as added measures in lab and shop areas to limit touch points and shared equipment and surfaces. We've divided the nurses suite into 2 areas, like you might experience in a pediatrician's office, to afford us a quarantine area. We've eliminated unnecessary common areas, such as the lobbies, to limit congregation and the mixing that could encourage spread. Upon arrival to school, all students will report directly to first block to eliminate congregation in the cafeteria and hallways. Breakfast will now be available for a grab-and-go option. Hand sanitizers that are in our hallways comply with CDC recommendations for 60% or greater alcohol solution. The addition, we've added a senior lounge during our lunches to lessen the volume of students in the cafeteria and encourage social distancing in that area. We're also going to implement rolling lunches if we're in the building, rather than the 3 blocks of lunches that we had in the past, to limit the mixing of students and to afford sufficient time for tables and areas to be sanitized. It'll also limit the cafeteria to 50% capacity and spacing. We're also going to use swipe cards rather than the pin pad entry system for lunch, library, and attendance to limit common touch points. We've reorganized the physical space of all of our classrooms to maximize the spacing between students and encourage social distancing. We will continue to examine our schedule, our building flow, in addition to any updated guidance from the health and government officials to keep our staff and students safe. Now share Dr. Bell.
Good evening. One of the most important parts, along with social distancing and facial coverings, is cleaning and disinfecting to mitigate the spread of COVID-19. And our district takes that very seriously. There are a number of factors that we have looked at and a number of protocols and procedures that we have put in place. So I want to review those with you this evening. Beginning with the classroom, high-touch surfaces, specifically classroom desks, will be cleaned and disinfected after each class block, typically by the staff member or teacher that's in that room. But we want to make sure those desks are cleaned and ready to go for the next group of students who come in. Students will also be assigned seats in their classrooms to minimize contact with hard surfaces and the sharing of desks. Hand sanitizer will be available throughout the school and in each classroom. Students will be asked to use hand sanitizer when they enter the building each day. Obviously encouraged to use it in the classrooms when they enter and exit, and also washing their hands in hand washing stations that are going to be added before and after eating. Staff will be provided training on proper hygiene, hand washing, cleaning, and disinfecting practices and protocols. And students will be given frequent education from their teachers and announcements on hand washing and hygiene, as well as best practices to mitigate the spread of COVID-19. In regard to classroom supplies, students will be provided individualized supplies when possible. For example, our math classes typically use whiteboard markers. So our plan in those situations would be to issue a marker to that student. It would be that students to limit the sharing of such supplies. In our lab areas and in our technology departments, individual eyewear and gloves will be issued to every student. If it is not possible to provide individualized classroom supplies, those supplies will be disinfected and students will be asked to wash their hands before and after use. We are continuing to increase cleaning of high touch points throughout the building, such as handrails and things like that. Also, our cafeteria, locker rooms, as well as our buses will have more frequent cleanings. Ventilation in buildings will be increased with the circulation of outside air when possible, the same for the school buses. As far as the cafeteria goes, we will be utilizing disposable trays and utensils for food service. And when possible, to utilize the cafeteria for eating lunch, the tables will be cleaned and sanitized after each student cohort. We will also be asking students to eat in the cafeteria in cohorts to limit the number of exposures they would have to other students on a daily basis. Water fountains will not be in use. However, our water bottle fill stations will be. The district maintains an adequate supply of cleaning, disinfecting, and hand washing products to sustain this increased cleaning, and will continue to monitor inventory levels and continue the ordering to make sure we have enough supplies to maintain this high level of cleaning and disinfecting. As new information becomes available, we will continue to adjust and adapt our cleaning and disinfecting practices. On a separate note from cleaning and disinfecting, in regards to freshmen, so our ninth graders coming in the first day of school is still planned for ninth grade student orientation. And given the fluidity of the situation and the possible options for school, we are prepared to offer this incoming ninth grade orientation either in person or in a virtual setting. And also for our students in Digital Academy who may not be able to attend with us in person, we will plan to offer sessions of orientation as close to the first day of school as possible. We may not be able to do it on that first day, but we will give you more information as that becomes available. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Mullen with some additional information.
In regards to social distancing at the high school, we are going to have to relook at how we do concerts. Our 3 music teachers that are here at the high school were very creative in the spring in looking at what they could do to ensure that students were still continuing to develop their skill sets, as well as get a chance to have a concert virtually. But at this point in time, all concerts in the fall up through the first semester will be canceled, and they will be done in some fashion virtually. Back to school night will also be very different. We will probably send out a video welcoming everybody back. You heard Dr. Bell say that the freshmen will have link crew orientation, and we will take care of them. We want our newest warriors to feel welcome and feel like they are prepared to come to high school, which is a big jump, obviously. And our number one goal for them is to make sure that they are socially and emotionally prepared for high school and ready to go and have what they need. Back to school night, most of the teachers, what we will have them do is they will, not most, all teachers will send out a quick video of themselves along with any instructional aides that would be working in that particular classroom to introduce themselves to what they are doing. Parent-teacher conferences is still to be determined. Obviously, one of the easiest things we can do is do them virtually whenever possible. So that will be done, and we will restructure that. We have a little bit of time for that, but we have begun to start to think about that. Buses at the high school students will be expected to load from the back to the front and sit no more to a seat, and masks will be required while they're on the bus. As far as monitoring staff and student health, our nurses have worked very hard over the summer. Mrs. Landis is an amazing school nurse. She's been in communication with our high school administration as well as district administration on things as far as the high school is concerned. Much like in the morning, one of the questions we had about earlier was how are we going to enforce masks? Just like every morning, there are 2 administrators who meet our students at the front doors and welcome them to school every day. That is our way to assess students as they come in for safety measures. In this particular case, not only will we continue to assess them for safety concerns potential, we will challenge anyone that does not have a mask. Additionally, Mrs. Landis will be screening students as they come through. Any student who has any signs of not feeling well or looks like they could be symptomatic will be sent to the nurse's office immediately. As Dr. Sterner said, the nurse's office is set up and prepared to take care of those things. Our teachers will also do morning and wellness checks and continue throughout the day. Any student who does not feel like they are not feeling well, teachers will notify the nurse, and Mrs. Landis will work with that. And she will send anybody home that she deems it necessary. Number one rule, regardless of whether we're AB or whether we're full in, and really, even if it wasn't a pandemic, we would give you the same advice during flu season. When in doubt, stay home. If you feel sick, stay home. As citizens of this country, one of the things we have is a civic duty, not only to vote, but to take care of one another. And in this particular case, in a pandemic, that is obviously to ensure that you're taking care of not only yourself, but taking care of your classmates and your community at large. As far as communication, this district and our school will work as quickly as we possibly can to notify and communicate to anybody, whether it is a student or a staff member, that they potentially could have been in contact with somebody that is COVID probable or test positive. So we will work on that. Anything like that will be identified and sent to the York County Public Department of Health. any contact tracing or information that they provide us as directions, the high school and the district will take. Based on what came out from PD at 4 o'clock and a quick perusal of it, one of the nice things that was a little bit of a relief where we knew it was going to probably happen, but now it's mandated to happen. That is, if anybody were to report to or report goes to the Department of Health here in York County, and they can trace them back to Susquehannock High School, we will be notified, and then our nurses can take the proper action. But we will notify families again, staff and students, and coordinate with everybody that we need to. One of the things that we will continue to stress in our communication is not only do we communicate those things to you, but we would please ask that our parents, our families, and our students would communicate those things to us so that we can be as proactive as possible in making sure everyone in our Warrior Nation is safe. As far as athletics, we will continue to follow the directions and guidance from the PIAA. Our athletes have done an excellent job thus far coming back, as well as our musicians who came back today and are actually out practicing right now. And our coaches have taken this very seriously, as have our parents, as have our players and our musicians. They have been doing a pretty good job of making sure that they are separated, and we are reminding them when we see things that need to be taken care of. We will have protective equipment that we need to, hand sanitizer, rags where needed. We will continue to wipe down anything that is shared as we would in the school day. When absent, this was one of the questions that came up previously. In a block schedule, one of the cons of a block is that because it is a little bit of a compressed timeline, the work can technically be or is a little bit more daunting if you're absent for an extended period of time. But please, I would tell our students, I would tell our parents that our teachers care about kids. They will work with students who are out sick, whether it is for 5 days, 3 days, 1 day, or if it has to be for 14 days or more. They will work with students to ensure that they can get the work made up and continue to progress academically. So teachers will be very lenient with that, very flexible with that, and ensure that our students are learning. Dr. Bell went over all of our questions concerning lunches. If you have bus transportation issues or concerns, you are more than welcome to contact the office or transportation office. If there needs to be a change, contact us, as the middle school said, and we will work to make those changes as we can. As far as the digital academy is concerned, we did, I know, have one question about classes. We are offering it for all students K through 12. At the high school level, you have, when we can, the option of doing almost a blended type of schedule where you can take classes digitally through Edgenuity, or we do have a large number of teachers in our building who have volunteered because they want the best for our students to teach classes. So we will have AP classes and we will have some honors classes that will be able to work synchronously with our students here in the brick and mortar while they're at home to work. And then the teachers will reach out to them throughout the days and the weeks to make sure that they're getting everything they need as far as assistance and guidance on what they're doing learning wise. By doing that, we ensure continuity of instruction. We believe our teachers are the best teachers. And we believe that when they're teaching our students grow at a rate that exceeds others. So when we can do that, and we are going to do it, we will continue to look at courses that we could potentially add here down the road. But again, we have a large number of courses that can be done that way. It does offer a lot of flexibility. And as I said earlier, it will run in the block schedule, similar to the brick and mortar. So that will allow students to move back and forth. As Dr. Reppert said, for the middle school, if you were on for his presentation, open enrollment for the Digital Academy goes until July 31st. We are offering electives in band, orchestra, and chorus. We are still in the process of discussions on what that exactly will look like. And we will be able to offer a large number of our electives through Digital Academy. While not all of them, we definitely will be able to give them a large number, which will give students an opportunity to grow in areas that they're passionate about beyond just the core content. As far as questions that were brought up, we will not be taking temperature checks at this time. We will be looking each morning to work on people, but we will review the newest PDE guidelines. Again, I said they came out at 4 o'clock today, so we will continue to peruse and dive into them, and we will modify our plans as we have them to meet those guidelines. Social distancing on the bus we talked about will be 2 to a seat. More runs will be added. One of the things that our transportation department has been doing is looking at what we can do to add runs in an effort to limit the large numbers that could be on some buses. And families will be seated together for what they're doing when they get on the bus. Can students come in while they're in the digital academy? Yes, we have a blended option. I will say that they could potentially be limited to the number of students that are in a brick and mortar class. We have always, or at least for the last 5 or 6 years, done blended here at the high school, where we allow students to take a combination of digital academy edgenuity classes as well as classes in the building. So we will continue to allow that, but we will cap our rooms. We will not overload our rooms in an effort to make sure that we can socially distance effectively. So while I say that we can do blended, it could be limited based on availability of space here in the brick and mortar building. If you need information for the Digital Academy, it's on the district website. You can click on our building, Digital Academy, or you can contact andy.shiloh@sycsd.org. And you can find more information out that. You are more than welcome, as always, to contact the high school building, and we will give you as much information about Digital Academy as we can as well, and be able to maybe answer some of your more specific questions. So in closing, I would just like to remind everybody that there is a special board meeting on July 30th at 3 p.m. You can catch that on the district YouTube or Channel 99. The board is also meeting on July 23rd as well. I cannot stress this enough, and that is that we as a district, we as a building will continue to evaluate our plan and structure it in a way that best meets the needs of our students, our parents, our staff, and our community. As we face this pandemic, which seems to change things from day to day. We will continue to be supportive of our students, our staff, and our community. We will continue as a building and as a district to be flexible in an effort to meet the needs the best we can, as we always have tried to do. What we would ask is that we just have cooperation between our students, our families, and the building. We are one warrior nation. We are one warrior family, and together we can get through this. We can come back to a sense of normalcy, and we can continue to do what we've always done, which is produce warriors collectively as a community, parents, teachers, staff, who are ready to go out into this world and ready to take on anything they want. And as always, please know that safety and security are always our number one priority, and they will continue to be. I'd like to thank you again for being here this evening. Thank you for all your questions. If you have additional questions, please feel free to reach out to me at kevin.mullen@sycsd.org, and I will get back to you as fast as I can in an effort to answer as many questions as you have, because we here at Susquehannock High School are here for our kids. Thank you. Have a great evening. Stay safe and continue to enjoy this wonderful summer.